guys, how is everyone doing? I got the Gooster here again. Today I'm going to be doing a video on where I teach you how to do a full face of makeup, an easy tutorial for beginners, young and old. What inspired me to do this video was actually my mom. Shout out to my mom. She was asking me if I had any tips on how to do makeup, and I told her the first thing that she needs to do is get a sponge. That is my favorite way to apply my makeup. So my mom went to the store and got a sponge, and she told me she really didn't see that much of a difference. Then I asked her, well, did you wet the sponge? And she had no idea that she needed to wet the sponge. So that gave me the idea that maybe I should do a tutorial to teach you how to do a full face of makeup from beginning to end. So if this sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and keep on watching. And Goose will be sitting by and watching too. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is moisturize your face, especially if you have like drier patches. So my skin is combination and it can lean to oily, but I still have a lot of dry patches. I get a big dry patch right here, and I get one like right here as well. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that my face is moisturized. You can use whatever moisturizer you like to use. My favorite one right now, I have a little trial size, but it's this coconut, let's see, the First Aid Beauty Coconut Moisturizer. A lot of people for oily skin actually like to use this as a nighttime moisturizer. I feel like it doesn't give that much moisture for a nighttime routine. I like my face to be like super moisturized and drenched in moisturizer when I go to sleep. This right here, this makes it so it like really soaks in, so it's not gonna be too tacky on your face when you try to apply makeup. So the first thing I'm gonna do is apply my moisturizer. Again, I like to really focus it where I get my dry patches. So like I said, it's really bad right there. And then right here, for some reason, around my lips, gets very dry, but the rest of my face is like super oily, like especially around my eyelids. My eyelids are super oily, and also right here can get dry patches as well. Okay, and then once you're all moisturized, the next thing I like to do is to use a primer. If you see my other videos, I have really large pores, especially right here. My pores are really large, and I get very oily around here. I also do have large pores around my whole T-zone. So my favorite primer is the Poreless Putty Primer by e.l.f. It's actually pretty cheap, so I like to use this. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Tatcha Silk Primer, and that one's like, I think like 60 bucks, and this one's like $6. So I'll take a little bit of this, and I'll kind of rub it in my hands, and then I push it in where all my large pores are. So right in there. Again, when you choose a primer and a moisturizer, you want to find one that's best for your skin's concerns. So mine is definitely, I like to hide my pores because I have very big pores. Some people, they have very dry skin and their skin can look kind of dull. So some people may use more of a dewy primer. Dewy primers don't work on me. It makes me look way too oily when I use those, but that's really big right now, especially in the beauty community. A lot of people like those very luminous primers, and if that's for you, then you totally go for what you want. But I usually like something that's poreless, so I go ahead and I'll use that. Then the next step is going to be your foundation. My favorite foundation right now is the Milani 2-in-1. I really like this just because it's more of a full coverage foundation, like medium to full coverage, and I feel like it really does hide my pores right there. Again, that's like my biggest concern on what I want to hide. So when you're looking for a foundation, you want to find something that again is going to work with your skin tone. If you're dry, you may want to look for more of a luminous foundation. If you're super oily, then you're going to want to look for more of a matte foundation. And then you also have to decide what kind of coverage you want with your foundation. This is like my favorite for when I'm like going out and stuff, because when I go out at night, or like if I'm going to something special, I want a full coverage. Like I want you to not be able to see any red imperfections, or like see like close and see all these pores. I don't want you to see any of that when I'm out. But like during the day, like if I'm just going out, this is actually my favorite foundation, is the CC cream, the It Cosmetics C cream. It's a little more light coverage than this one, and it also has SPF. So when you're deciding your foundation, that's kind of what you want to look for. You want to see what is going to work with your skin the best. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the Milani 2-in-1. So there are two different ways that I would recommend applying a foundation. You can either use a brush. I'm looking for a foundation brush. I want it to be firm, but I also want it to have more of a rounded top because I like a more seamless look. I don't like my foundation to look cakey. So when I use a brush like this, I feel like I'm really pushing it into my skin, and and I'm really covering up those flaws that I want. It Cosmetics has my favorite foundation brushes, and usually around like Black Friday or Christmas times, they come out with awesome box gifts. And usually they come in a set and they've got like rhinestones, or they're just really pretty. So these are my favorite brushes to use. Or it's the sponge that I was telling my mom. This is also my favorite way. If you hate cakiness, you need a sponge. If you have too much makeup on your face, when you apply the sponge, it's gonna soak up that extra foundation that you have on your skin. So when I personally apply my foundation, I first go in with a brush to have more of that full look, and then whatever parts of my face look a little too cakey, I'll go in with the sponge. And again, when you're using a sponge, wet the sponge. You wanna make sure that the sponge isn't too wet. You don't want it to be like soaked, because then that's gonna ruin your makeup. What I do is I wet the sponge, which I just did, and then I like to take a paper towel and then I squeeze out that extra moisture so that the sponge is still pretty bouncy. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply my foundation. Like I said, I don't like cakey foundation, so I only put about a pump on my brush, and then I just dot the foundation in different parts of my face. So if I have a little bit too much there, I go ahead and I dot it. And then from there, I just go ahead and I bounce that around my face. I know I look really crazy right now, but the more you blend, the better it's going to look. It's also a lot harder to apply your foundation just using a viewfinder. So you want to make sure that you have, like, I have a mirror at my vanity, just a small mirror. Sorry, it's really dirty, but I usually look in this to make sure that I'm getting the coverage that I want, and I can really see where those red spots are. You like my foundation lips? They look pretty good, don't they? You see that coverage? Like, can you tell from how red I was up here to now it's all becoming one color? That's what you want with your foundation. You want to make sure that you're all one color. And when you're choosing the color of your foundation, you want to make sure that it's not too light and not too dark for your skin. You also don't want to be orange. So you kind of want to make sure that you're blending it into your neck so it seems seamless, so it seems like a natural color. For my skin tone, I always go with a natural beige color. I personally I feel like I have neutral undertones. Anytime I try to get warm, my face looks orange, and when I try to get lighter, I look like Uncle Fester. Neutral is where my skin tone is. So you see how much better that looks? So this foundation, it's also not a true matte foundation. As you can see, there's still a lot of glow to my skin, but I don't like the overly glowy. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna tap where I feel like there's just too much foundation, like it looks too cakey, which is usually right here because I have a dry patch. And I'm just gonna bounce that sponge in to take up any excess foundation. You may not be able to see the difference through the video, but in person, it definitely makes the world of difference. So now my face is completely covered. So if I'm feeling like I'm still kind of cakey, because there are certain days where my skin feels like super dry right here and here. My face is really weird. Like, the rest of my face is oily, but I will get so dry right here and here, and I'll like literally get peeled skin. So when I try to put foundation on it, it just looks cakey because the foundation is just sticking to the dry patches here and here. If I'm having one of those days, which I'm really not now, actually I'm having a pretty good skin day, but I'll go ahead and just show you guys what I do. The trick that I do is I get a priming oil. So this right here is just the e.l.f. Glow Oil. It's in the retro, what's it called? The retro collection of e.l.f. I get a little bit of the priming oil. Personally, I have to be very careful when I'm looking for a priming oil because I'm allergic to nuts. So if you're allergic to nuts too, you might want to look in the ingredient list, because a lot of priming oils have sweet almond oil in it. And the first time that I used a priming oil, it actually broke me out because I realized there was almond oil. This one doesn't have it. This one's pretty good, but I would just, as a caution, look at the ingredient list if you're allergic to nuts. But what I do if I'm feeling a little too cakey is I'll put just a little drop of this priming oil right into the sponge, and then I take my finger and I kind of just tap it in just a little bit, and then I will just apply that to the spot where I think I'm kind of cakey, which again is usually around this area. And I'm telling you, that makes such a world of a difference. And then you just kind of want to let your face sit for a bit, let all that makeup settle in. And then the next step I do is I use a concealer. The one that I like is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I'm sure if you've watched beauty videos on YouTube, everybody talks about the the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. It's all over YouTube and there's a good reason for it. It has maximum coverage. The problem that I have around my eye areas is I have very deep bags. I don't know if you can see that, but I have very deep discoloration, gray bags under my eyes. I also am starting to get wrinkles under my eyes. Everyone says I don't, but I know that they're just being nice. Like, I am getting wrinkles right in here and there. I'm not even 30 yet, but I know I'm getting those wrinkles, and my eyes almost like protrude out, so it creates these like little creases right there, then and there. So the best way that I cover it up is with the, I'm about to say shard again, the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. So basically what you do, and again, you don't have to use more high-end brands if you don't want to. There are plenty of great concealers and foundations and different makeup products at the drugstore. I'm just showing you guys what I use mostly on a daily basis that works best for my skin. But again, when you're choosing a concealer, foundation, whatever piece of makeup, you want to make sure that it just works best for you. You want to find that exact regimen that you know when you put it on your face, you're gonna look flawless. And this right now is what I've been working with every day. It always works out for me. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. But back to the concealer, I like to take just a very little amount of concealer because again, I don't like cakey face. I want to be as natural as possible. So whatever excess is on the doe foot, I take it off. And then I like to just apply a little bit right where my discoloration is. You may see some YouTubers literally make a big triangle down their face. To me, when I do that, it makes me seem way too cakey. So you'll also see some YouTubers who they do their eyes first before they do their makeup. But every time I do that, I always end up messing up my eyes because what I want to do is after I put my concealer on, I want to take my beauty blender and do this, and then I mess up all my eye makeup because I totally forget I have eye makeup on. So me personally, I like to do my face first and then my eyes last, but that's completely up to you. Once I have the concealer on my face, I take my beauty blender and just kind of bounce it over right there. I mean, you can still see my bags, but it's not as bad as it was. See, that eye looks a lot better. But see how it also has like a brightening effect? When you're choosing a concealer, you want to choose a color that's about 1 to 2 shades lighter than the rest of your skin, just because when you do a concealer, you want it to brighten up your eyes. As you can see, I look more wide awake than I did before. It's definitely a brighter consistency, and that's what you want. And then I also like to take my concealer and I like to put a little bit right there because I always got some weird stuff going on, and I always have discoloration on my nose, and right there, and right there. So basically what I'm doing is I'm highlighting the middle of my face, like almost in like a triangle. And then again, I use the beauty blender and I just tap that in.
That's what she said.
So fun fact, when I was in college, I had an internship where I worked at a beach in Delaware. So I was working on the ocean and I thought I was too cool to wear sunblock. And so like my first week there, I got a very, very bad sunburn across my nose where my nose completely blistered. Once like my blisters popped, my nose began to peel, and ever since that day, my nose has such a bad texture and is always peeling from there to there. So kids, if you're listening, never be too cool for sunblock because you may get a bad skin damage like me. Just wear the sunblock. Okay, so back to the makeup. Can you see how much lighter my eyes and right here is? How all this is highlighted? That's what you want with your concealer. Okay, once you have your concealer all done, the next thing you want to do is actually set your concealer so it doesn't start to crease. I like using a loose setting powder for this. My favorite is the Urban Decay Velvetizer, but unfortunately they discontinued this, so this will be my last one to use. Any loose setting powder will work. I like to take a sponge again and just dip it into the loose setting powder. So you got some there? I like to put it where my concealer is. This also just makes your face look a lot smoother. So sometimes I'll put it all over my face as well. And you can let that sit for a bit. See how I still have some excess? You can either let that sit for a bit or you can take a big fluffy brush and just brush off that excess powder. Okay, now my face is smooth as a baby's bottom. Okay, and so the next step after you have your concealer and you've brightened everything up, the next thing you want to do is contour your cheeks. So basically what you want to do is you want to almost make your face look more sunk in. Like you want to shape your face with the contour. So you want to cut off the pieces that aren't making your face like symmetrical, if that makes sense.
Nope.
I'll show you what I mean because I don't think that that made any sense. But my favorite contour is, again, Milani. It is the Silky Matte Bronzer in Suntan. I don't know if you guys can tell, but Milani is my favorite brand. So I'm going to take a little bit of this, tap off the excess. I'm gonna go from the start of my ear all the way up to where my eye kind of ends. So you want to take that bronzer and you almost want to sculpt out your cheekbone. So like my cheekbone is right there and I want to hollow out my cheeks. So I'm going to take my bronzer and I'm just going to blend and blend to kind of make my cheekbones pop more. Can you tell the difference from this side to this side? It makes my face almost look more sculpted. And so that's kind of the goal you're going for. So again, with the other side, I'm gonna start from right by my like hairline right there, and I'm gonna go until I meet the corner of my eye. So I'm gonna just do this. And again, I'm trying to sculpt out this cheekbone right here. I'm trying to hollow out my cheeks. And you wanna just blend that. You wanna make sure it doesn't look like just a straight line. Some people like that, but again, I like that more natural look. So I'm gonna keep blending until it looks pretty natural. So now my face looks more contoured into the middle. And then next, I'm gonna try and make this look more oval shape. So I like to put contour right in about there and there. So I take this because I don't want my face to look as rounded. So I sculpt out right there. And then here. So right at my jawline. And then to bring my forehead more down, so I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna contour right at my hairline. If it looks too dark, you just want to keep on blending until you get to the desired natural effect. And if it's still looking a little too dark, you can always take your sponge that still has some foundation and you can blend that in. And that's why this is a lifesaver. If you are going to get anything in this makeup routine, get a beauty sponge. That's going to be your lifesaver when doing makeup. So there's like my face. See, it's looking more ovalish than it did before. Usually I have a very round face and I'm trying to sculpt it out to be more round. Okay, so the next step is I want to try to bring some more color into my face. I kind of look washed out a little bit, so I'm going to try and bring some color back. So how I'm going to do that is with a blush and a bronzer. I love the 21 Days of Ulta Beauty, and the one that was for the last time was the Natural Eyes collection from Too Faced, and I had to get it because everything was half off. So I'm really excited to play with this. I haven't played with this at all yet, so I'm really excited. But they have a really pretty bronze color that I want to use. You guys can see that. And then I really want to use this blush color and the highlight. So I'm probably going to use more of this row right here. When I get bronzers, I usually like to get one like neutral tone bronzer that's completely matte. I like to use that to sculpt my face and contour. And then I also like to get a bronzer it's a little more glowy and sparkly that brings more life back into my skin. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mix this shade and this shade together, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and bronze up my face. Now usually I do it right where my contour is, and then I kind of just work in circles around my face. I feel like that was very pigmented. Oh, because I accidentally used my foundation brush. I'm gonna go in with actually a very fluffy brush and go over this. And if you feel like you went too heavy-handed anywhere, that's where your handy dandy sponge comes in. So if you feel like you got a little too heavy-handed, again, you can pick up that extra pigment off with your sponge. Kind of pat all that in. See how that gives my face just a little more life back into it? It's not so dead looking. Next, I'm gonna go in with a blush. And I'm really excited to use this one. I'm gonna use this mauve tone color right here. And I'm going to use another IT Cosmetics brush. It came in that one set that I was talking about. But I love this for blush. I usually tap off any excess so that it doesn't get to be too pigmented. And then I just take the blush to the apples of my cheeks, which are like right there, and I lightly dab it on. Do you see the difference? And then the last part that I do with my face is I take a highlighter. I think I'm gonna go in with this. It's like a champagne-y, nudish, pinkish, blushish, all kinds of ish going on in this little highlight. This is the Morphe M510. I'm just gonna dab that in there, tap that off. Oh, let's try not to tap it off. Let's see. What do you guys think? Can you tell anything? It's very subtle. And again, you wanna put that like on top of the apples of your cheek. And then you wanna make sure that I kind of do circular motions to kind of blend that in so it doesn't look like a line. And this is very subtle. I'm gonna try this brighter shade. This is like a light champagne shade. Okay. Okay, that's, yeah, there we go. There we go. That's showing up a lot more. And then I also like to just a little bit there. You see, so like the foundation, if you guys have any tips, I have a really hard time keeping foundation to stay on my nose. I know that that's a problem for a lot of people. Sometimes what I do is, so this isn't cruelty free. I'm trying to use it up. I just take like a foundation powder. Anyone will work, but this is what I have right now because I'm trying to use it up. But after I use it up, I'm not gonna be buying again because it's not cruelty free. If foundation wears off, I kind of try to just pat my nose, get that redness off. And again, I have redness right here too. Even if I don't have allergies or a cold, I always have redness there. This looks a little bit better. What do you guys think? And then the last thing I do with my face are my lips. I like to first moisturize my lips. I already have on chapstick from earlier, so my lips aren't too bad. But then I like to take lip liner. My favorite lip liner is by Milani. They're only like a few bucks, and this one isn't all natural. And basically why I use this lip liner is because, I don't know if you can see, but I have like discoloration in my lips. So like, it's like super light up here, and that's not foundation. My lips are just lighter up here, and it's like lighter in certain places. So using this makes my lips all one color. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply that. I don't use this just to outline my outer lips. I actually fill in my entire lip with this color, again, to just cancel out any discoloration. Okay, now you can see my lips are all one color. And this also helps your lipstick stay on longer as well, especially if you're using a liquid lip. And then I'm gonna apply my color. My favorite color right now, this has been my go-to every day, is the NYX Liquid Suede Liquid Lipstick. And this is in the color Soft Spoken. Again, this is another dupe for Lolita. Lolita is like my favorite color of all time by Kat Von D, but it is kind of pricey. So I like to get more of the NYX because they're only a few bucks. And especially if you're a beginner in makeup, you probably wanna get more of the drugstore, the stuff that doesn't cost as much, just to see if you actually like it. But I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my lips. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyes real quick, and I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back with my final look. What do you think? Do you like these eyes? If you want to know how to do this eye makeup tutorial, then watch the next video. I went ahead and broke up this segment just because I didn't want this video to be too long. If you like cruelty-free beauty, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you like horror movies, then I highly suggest you subscribe to my channel because I have a segment that's called Tabby's Terror Thursdays where I watch every single video on Amazon Prime, so you don't have to. If you're always trying to look for a new horror movie to watch, then subscribe to my channel because I'll recommend some to you. And again, you guys have no idea how much I appreciate all of you for helping me start my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.